So it's fair to say it wasn't a good weekend for Manchester United. I saw a stat actually that said that they won 4 of their previous 5 games in all competitions coming into this one, but their form in the Premier League on the whole has not been good at all. Now, they faced Tottenham Hotspur, who have had a bit of an injury crisis to say the very least. Another team that is really struggling, another team that's normally in that traditional top 6, but down in the bottom half of the table. And it was a 1-0 win for Spurs in the end, but I tell you what, it could have and should have probably been more to Tottenham in the end. Manchester United were really poor in this game. It's one of them. Again, the team's not going to go changing anytime soon. They've only brought in Patrick Dorgu, who looks like a decent player. He looked pretty good. He was making some good runs in this match, but overall, he is not going to be the game changer that they need to get back up to the top part of the table. And I'd say, honestly, at this point, the only way that Manchester United are going to get back into Europe for next season is to either win the FA Cup or win the Europa League. And of course, winning the league would get them Champions League football, but this side in the Champions League would get absolutely torn apart. I think it really would do. But anyway, Ruben Amorim, the manager of Manchester United, he's remaining defiant. He's keeping to his principle. He's sticking to what he knows, even after yet another defeat. So let's have a look at this full article on thefootballchronicle.com, guys. Let's have a look at what's been said by the people in and around Manchester United. Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim has insisted that he is not worried about his job security, despite the team's 1-0 defeat to Tottenham Hotspur on Sunday, which left them languishing in 15th place in the Premier League's table. The loss was United's 12th of this season and their 8th in 14 league games since Amorim replaced Erik ten Hag at the helm. Those are some damning stats. Speaking after the match, Amorim was honest about the challenges he faces, stating, "I have a lot of problems. My job is so hard, but I am here to continue my job to the next week with my beliefs and I will try to win again." Despite the mounting pressure, the Portuguese coach remained defiant, saying, "I am not worried. I understand our fans and what the media think about it. I hate to lose. That feeling is the worst. The rest I am not thinking about. I am here to help my players. I understand my situation, my job. I am confident in my work and I just want to win games." Amorim went on to emphasise that his primary concern is the team's position in the table rather than his own job security. "The place in the table is my worry. I am not worried about me," he said. The narrow defeat to Spurs was decided by fine margins, with James Maddison's first half rebound proving to be the difference between the two sides. Amorim lamented the missed opportunities, particularly Alejandro Garnacho's gilt-edged chance before half-time. That was a big miss in fairness. "It was the difference of the game. They scored and we didn't," he said. "We had opportunities, we had situations and transitions trying to get a result, but in the end, they scored and we didn't." United's injury crisis has compounded their struggles, with Amad Diallo, the latest player to be ruled out, likely for the rest of the season due to ankle ligament injury. Yeah, that's really bad, that. I do feel for him, Diallo has been fantastic. It really has been a surprise package in a good way this season for Man United. One of the very few, if not the only one. Amorim's lack of an option was evident of his selection on the bench, which featured only one established first-team player, to Lindelof, among a pool of untested teenagers. Literally, they showed the bench, and Lindelof was the only guy 20 years of age or over. I think he's 30 years of age, Lindelof. Everybody else was 19 years old at the oldest. It's incredible. I mean, people talk about Spurs' injury crisis, and it is an injury crisis, but United is getting as bad now, really. They've only really got 11, 12 first-team players that are fit, and that's not good. It's not an 11-a-side game anymore. You've got the subs that always come on. It's a 16, 17 kind of, well, 16 because that's the maximum. You can only have 5 subs, of course, but yeah, it's a 16-player game these days, so yeah, not ideal to say the least. Despite the availability of these young players, Amorim only made one substitution, bringing on 17-year-old Chido Obi Martin in the closing moments of the game. The manager explained his cautious approach, saying, "It is the hardest competition in the world. I am trying to be careful with them. I felt the team was pushing for the goal and I felt I don't want to change, but they will play." Former United defender Gary Neville has expressed his concern about the team's lack of progress under Amorim, stating, "The club will have to be patient, but I would like to see the performance levels getting higher. This is a very average level that United are performing at week in, week out. The best thing about it, Amorim's time in charge, has been his press conferences. This is a really poor United team." The stats paint a bleak picture for United this season, with the team having lost 12 of their opening 25 games. Their most defeats from 25 matches at the start of the season in 1973-74, when they were last relegated from the top flight. They have also lost 8 of their previous 12 games, and only Leicester City have scored fewer first half goals than United's 9. As Amorim and his team prepare for their next challenge, a trip to David Moyes' resurgent Everton on Saturday, the manager remains focused on helping his players securing much-needed victories, despite the mounting pressure and the team's struggles. Amorim remains confident in his work, and his determination to turn things around remains unwavering. I mean, you have to kind of give props to Amorim for what he's doing in terms of his honesty. Now, that's going to rub a lot of people up the wrong way, of course, but what he's saying isn't wrong most of the time. I do listen to what he has to say, and I have to say that he's kind of right. He's kind of right, though. It's rare that he's not. But it's not helping that they're losing so many games, and losing big games like this as well. I mean, Tottenham have done a double over them in the league now. And honestly, if they are going away to Everton, I've not checked the fixtures yet for the next weekend, but going off that article, I would assume they are away. I mean, even if they're at home for that matter, I mean, they're worse at home than they are away under Amorim. They've had more losses at Old Trafford, I think, than away fixtures. Which is, again, that's a damning indictment, really. But against Everton, without Everton are playing right now, they've just got a draw against Liverpool. I think United are going to really struggle. I honestly back Everton to win that. And I don't think that would be a surprise. And I think Everton at that point they'd be ahead of United. They'd be up there. They'd be close to them. A side that were threatening relegation earlier on in the season. Long way away from that now. Big points gap. And people talk about United getting relegated and all that. I don't see it in a month of Sundays. I just don't. It's going to be free from that fall. But the thing is, United should never be in that conversation of being essentially relegated. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens, guys. I mean, for what it's worth, I don't think they're going to make another change this season. I can't see it. At the end of the day as well, they do have the cup competitions. That's a big reason, I think, why Ange Postecoglou kept his job for as long as he did. I mean, he got through to the EFL Cup semi-finals against Liverpool, and he went out to them the other week. And same with Aston Villa in the FA Cup too. They went out to them too. And they've also got the Europa League too, and so you have Man United. But hey, we could end up with a Spurs against Man United final in the Europa League, I think, and that'd be something. Which one of you guys is the least bad? Because right now in the league, they're both terrible for the most part. So, yeah, it's painful to be a Man United fan right now. I'm sure it is. Losing so many games. It is, yeah. The manager is doing the right things in the press conferences. I feel like he's been very refreshing with his approach. A complete opposite to Ten Hag, saying, yeah, everything's fine, we'll keep going with it. Amorim's just like, no, everything's terrible. This is why we're losing. Our players are we've got too many injuries. It's basically what he's saying. So we'll see what happens. But you'd like to think it's got to turn around soon. But with that many injuries, they're going to really struggle. Those players coming off the bench, they are not going to make a difference. Lindelof is not an attacking player. He's not going to make a difference when the side is behind. So you're putting on teenagers who've barely ever played in the Premier League, if ever at all. I reckon it's probably that Martin's debut, is it not? I'd be shocked if it wasn't, at least in the Premier League anyway. So, yeah, guys, what do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below as always, and we'll see you for some more football content and news here on thefootballchronicle.com. Have a great week ahead. See you soon. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always, and yeah, subscribe to see more like this.